Jürgen Ullman doesn't seem a likely target for international kidnapping. He lives in a trailer park in Southern California and has modest financial resources. Yet in April of 2001, Ullman was captured by a sophisticated kidnapping ring in Kenya. He was bound in chains, held for ransom, and told he may be killed. But the scariest part of Ullman's story is how easily he was swept from his California home. Ullman's trouble began at the dinner table. His special smoked catfish dish drew raves. A friendly suggestion to market it snowballed into a business plan.
I saw an enormous potential in creating a product and shipping it to Europe.
The idea was to build catfish ponds, raise millions of fish, smoke them, and export them to fish-loving European countries. Ullman believed this company could make him wealthy. But first, he needed $5 million in seed money. To help raise capital, Ullman brought in a partner, James Harrell. After 2 years of searching for investors, they got a bite on their internet website. The Alpine Mining Group of East Africa began inquiring about Ullman's company. They spent the next 4 months negotiating a deal by a phone.
At some time during the negotiations, I was told that when everything is finalized, obviously I would have to travel to Nairobi to sign the investment agreement in front of an attorney over there. Well, that was reasonable too. So I suggested to the broker that the investor should pay for the trip.
The broker sent prepaid tickets for both Jürgen Ullman and his business partner, James Harrell. And they traveled the exhausting 24-hour journey to Nairobi.
We get our luggage, go through customs. There was a woman standing just outside customs holding a sign up with my name on there, my colleague's name.
They pick us up in a van. We thought nothing unusual about that situation.
The first time that I became suspicious that something wasn't quite right was when we left the main Mombasa highway and moved into a residential area that didn't look all that good.
The van stopped at a gated house. The driver led Ullman and Harrell inside, where their investor was waiting.
He began to tell us, gentlemen, you are being kidnapped. You are the guests of this particular establishment.
And he became very angry. He got up, walked to the back of the room, and he turned around and said, "My men will now take care of you. Don't speak. Don't move."
They took off all the watches, the rings, everything of value.
Then I put chains around the feet, took the shoes off, put chains around the ankles. And we just sat there, dumbfounded, basically.
They were drowned in blaring music, fed bread and water, slept on the floor. On day 4, the kidnappers set the ransom, $30,000.
So that's when the torture began, because they wanted the money right away.
The kidnappers inflicted pain by twisting the chains on their ankles and wrists.
My hand was swelled like twice the size of one hand now.
The kidnappers instructed Ullman to compose an email to his wife and son. They told him to say all was well. The $5 million investment cash was ready, and to send $30,000 for bank transfer fees. Even though the kidnappers dictated exactly what to write, Jürgen slipped in a coded plea for help. He said, "God be with you too."
Well, Jürgen doesn't ever end any message that way. Ending up with the letter, "God be with you," confirmed to me that things just weren't right.
And they was asking for so much money, and send it right away. And we just looked at each other because that's when we really knew they were in trouble.
Sheila Allman checked with her bank. The fee to transfer $5 million into their account was $50, not $30,000. They called the FBI. FBI Special Agent Bill Peterson was assigned to the case.
The wives, we had to trust their intuition. They'd been married to their husbands for over 20 years. And if they noticed anything out of the ordinary, we had to trust that.
Special Agent Peterson put a wiretap on the wives' phones. He had Mrs. Harrell call the phone number given on the email and probe for clues.
The main purpose of those phone calls was to establish proof of life and try to get an ear what was going on their end.
Hello?
Hello, who is this?
Who do you want to talk to? You're talking to Musa. Who do you want to talk to?
I want to talk to Jim Harrell.
Okay, who is calling?
This is his wife.
Okay, hold on.
Hello?
Hi, Jim?
Hello? Yeah.
Yeah, well, how are you doing?
I'm fine. You take your business?
Well, I'm still trying to get the money. You know, it's a lot of money, and it's everything we have.
Yeah, I know it's a lot of money.
The FBI also directed Juanita to determine if the husbands were free to leave.
I just want to get home.
Well, why can't you just come home and help me with this?
Hey, Juanita, just do as I say, please, okay? We've been through that, okay?
I thought maybe you should go to the U.S. Embassy.
No. Take care of business.
Okay.
So you can get you see your husband.
Harrell's adamant refusal to visit the U.S. Embassy convinced the FBI the men were prisoners. Peterson concocted a trap. The plan was to send the ransom and catch the kidnappers when they tried to retrieve it. But there was one big problem: cash to pay the ransom.
The FBI's policy is that we do not pay ransom demands. It's the family's prerogative. If they want to pay the ransom demand, then they can do that.
We came to the agreement that we should not send the total amount of money. The one agent was convinced that if we did do that, then the kidnappers would immediately turn around and ask for more. So they strongly advised that we sent some and enough to entice them.
The partial payment of $7,000 was actually bait. When one of the kidnappers, Augustine Nwanga, tried to retrieve the money, the staff at Western Union was prepared. They suggested Nwanga wait in the VIP lounge while the money was processed. This bought time to notify the local police and the FBI. Nwanga was sipping tea and eating cookies when he was arrested.
Our agent told Augustine Nwanga to call his associates, tell him that the money had arrived, and to release the two since they'd paid. But the people on the other end realized that Augustine had been taken into custody, which sparked a panic on their part.
The frightened kidnappers forced Allman and Harrell into a van. They drove around Nairobi 4 hours, then dumped their victims along the road and fled. After 2 weeks in chains, enduring torture and death threats, Jurgen Allman and Jim Harrell returned to their families.
I'm thrilled to death to see my wife and my grandkids and my daughter here. It's just great. Believe me, it's great to be America.
Augustine Nwanga, the kidnapper caught at Western Union, was convicted of kidnapping by a Kenyan judge. He was sentenced to 7 years in prison. 2 of his alleged accomplices fared better. They were tracked down using telephone records and arrested. But against a judge's orders, they were released on bail and never seen again. As kidnappers take aim at traveling Americans, even trips with tour agencies are vulnerable.
And then there's gunfire. Bang, 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 bang.